make it 3.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today we are going to take another look at some team battles. Yes, and we are with the NGA Warhawks once again. And you'll notice on the team here we've got Halsiege, Warhawk, Alaska, Caboose, Razio, Orvis, and myself. And, surprise, surprise, we're on a different map. Not straight. We're on New Dawn this time. Basics, sort of same strategy here for us. Even though there's only 2 cap points, we're obviously going to be sending one destroyer down there to, B, cap that point. The remainder of the ships are going to take up position as if there was a C point, right? Sort of in the middle of the map, kind of working our way towards A. Now, the best way to do this is to use the land mass that we have here in front of us, and you can see I'm sort of, going towards it at this time. You can see the other members of my team as well following suit. Now, our job up here at A is going to be just to check out the enemy, right? Just to see what the enemy is doing, maybe cap the point, but that's not the priority. It's really just to get some eyes on the enemy, see what they're doing while we are capping B. Once B is capped, the remainder of the destroyers are going to come up here with us to A, and we're going to actually take A and start killing off some enemies. Now, we do have some battleships with us as well. Obviously, we've got Warhawk in the New Mexico, and then we have Alaska in his Fuso. So the battleships themselves are going to be taking up position relatively in the center of the map again, and this is to ensure that, depending on where the enemy goes, now we suspect that they're coming to A, and yes, they are. They're starting to pop up here. We can tell they're coming to A. So the battleships will be in a good position to be able to start raining down some heavy fire on the enemy ships while still being in and amongst some islands and potentially making use of cover if possible. So there we go. Enemies are spotted. We are going to continue our push into A, but it's not with the idea of capping it, right? I'm continuing along because I do have an island in front of me, and I want to get behind this island. Once I'm behind this island, I'll have much better cover from some of the heavier enemy ships that are off in the distance. In the meantime, we do get another excellent glaring example as to why Japanese destroyers probably aren't the best thing to take into a team battle. They just don't have the guns to be able to compete. It's really quite sad because I love my Japanese destroyers a whole lot, but they just don't have the guns to compete with the American destroyers and as well the Russian destroyers. In terms of the Gurmyashki anyway, the Gurmyashki is a pretty good destroyer to take into a team battle because it has some really decent guns on her. Genvi, maybe not so much, and the Ognavoy I would avoid altogether. So you can see I'm still hiding behind the island, right? I've popped some smoke so I'm invisible right now. I've launched off some torpedoes here at this enemy cruiser. Hopefully this guy's going to continue straight along into those torpedoes and I'll get a few hits, maybe take him out. Things are getting a little hectic in here though, right? And so I'm going to circle around, wait to get a little closer to my battleships here. So torpedoes did end up hitting the Cleveland. I got 3 torpedo hits on the Cleveland anyway. So he is almost dead now. So we're just going to fire some guns off, myself, my ally here, trying to get the Cleveland gone. Once the Cleveland is gone, then we can start working over some of these other ships. Enemy destroyer pops up once again. We can see its torpedoes in the water, so it's a Mitsuki. Not really concerned about this guy at all. Easily able to avoid the torpedoes. I did take a bit of damage here, but I'm still, we're being fairly aggressive up here at A. So in the meantime, B is capped. The Cleveland is gone. We see another enemy destroyer, this time Gurmyashki, right? So I'm moving back into my smoke. Luckily, I have last stand on my Farragut Captain, obviously. So we can see that, even though my engines are gone, I'm still able to make a pretty decent speed and at least maneuver around. On a side note, this battle was played weeks ago. So I think this might have even been the first or the second night that I was playing team battles with the NGA Warhawks. But anyway, at the time I didn't realize that I could switch hulls on my Farragut and get an extra gun, right? So that is what's going on here. We will take a look at, in the second clip, we'll see that, obviously that change has been made. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. So you can see we do have some enemy battleships and cruisers off in the distance. I've got some torpedoes on the way out for the enemy cruiser. Hopefully those are going to hit him, but it looks like the enemy cruiser is kind of, keen to my tricks here and was able to, and kind of slowing down to try and avoid the torpedoes anyway, right? And he does actually manage to pull it off, so that kind of sucks, but whatever. I'm able to reverse back into this island here to make sure I can use it as cover against the enemy cruiser, because this would be awful if I died to that guy. We do see the enemy destroyer coming out around once again, so we're going to try and torpedo the enemy Mitsuki here, maybe get a nice shot off at him if the enemy destroyer decides to push around beyond the island. Other than that, we are still waiting on some battleships to get into position here. We do see one battleship on my team is moving into the center of the map, which is great. Obviously the battleships can still fire in on the enemy targets, right? But it's just going to be more accurate once they get closer. Now, unfortunately, I did die. That kind of sucked. But whatever, right? I'm fully happy to have died. I did take or do a bit of damage here to some of the enemy ships. They are on pretty low health anyway. So now we're going to switch over to Razio, the second destroyer up here that was helping me out, right? So he's going to continue to put pressure on A, and basically what he's doing now is taking a position where I was in and behind the island. It wouldn't have worked out too well with two destroyers in and behind the island. There's not a whole lot of room to maneuver, but now that I'm gone, Razio gets a better position on these enemies as well. So you can see that he did have torpedoes on the way for the enemy Fuso. Those torpedoes all hit. Then Warhawk had a salvo come in and take out that enemy Fuso. So the enemy Fuso is gone. Fantastic. Only 3 enemy ships remaining, and of these enemy ships that are remaining, right, they're not on full health. So all of them are on pretty low health. We do have an enemy New Mexico that Razio has launched torpedoes at, and he's firing his guns. And you can see the enemy cruisers in the background who are getting worked over by our other allies as well. And of course Hellsiege is up there in his aircraft carrier doing torpedo strikes on some of these enemy ships as well. So fantastic. In the meantime, too, a lot of my enemy or allied ships, are up here now with us. So we've got a lot of close-in heavy support. Razio, unfortunately, is almost dead at this point in time. So this New Mexico is getting closer and closer, and it's really only going to take a few shots from the secondary batteries to take out Razio here. Now we did lose a few other enemy or allied ships as well. We lost 2 more destroyers, so that kind of sucks. We're down to 1 destroyer, and it's Razio, and he's really low health. But luckily for us, we do still have a strong battleship presence here, right? Our battleships are doing pretty decently. You do see that Warhawk is getting really close in here to B as well. So there we go. Razio is gone, and that's unfortunate. It didn't get to launch torpedoes. It was so close, but he didn't get to launch his torpedoes before he died. Here we go. Now we're on Warhawk. Warhawk is basically on full health at this point in time, right? We do see some torpedoes on their way in, so we didn't get to, fully, or rather, those are the torpedoes from the cruiser. Yeah, for a second there I thought another destroyer, but no, cruiser. And, Warhawk here is basically duking it out point blank with the enemy New Mexico. Now the enemy New Mexico obviously is on really low health, so this should go pretty decently. However, we have 2 enemy cruisers. You can see them right here, right? Getting really close in, and there we go. Enemy New Mexico, I believe, got that shot, and that sucked, but whatever. We still do have Alaska back here in his Fuso, who's basically been sniping enemy ships this entire time as well. So you can see Alaska is putting shots into the enemy New Mexico. Now the New Mexico just went down, so fantastic. We have 2 enemy cruisers remaining, Murmansk and Nuremberg, I'm going to say, either Nuremberg or Königsberg, but those are the only 2 cruisers remaining, and they are on really low health, basically one-shottable to the Fuso, right? And of course we still do have Hellsiege in his aircraft carrier doing whatever he can to take out these enemies as well. So fantastic. Things are looking pretty good for us. The enemies only managing, or rather not even managing to cap A at this point in time. So even though we paid a pretty heavy price up there at A to prevent the enemy from taking that point, well worth it, right? Because team battles, we can trust and count on our other teammates to do, pretty amazing things and to do the right things at the right time. So you can see that Alaska did manage to take out one of the enemy cruisers, so there's only one enemy cruiser remaining. You can see the enemy cruiser out there, has a lot to deal with besides just Alaska, right? He's also under attack by enemy torpedo bombers from Halsey, so fantastic. Alaska just put some shots out to the Murmansk. Did hit him with a few, but wasn't that one shot one kill type thing here. So we're gonna have to wait for Alaska to reload. But once he reloads, this is more or less going to seal the fate of the Murmansk. There are still more planes coming in on the Murmansk, right? We can see some dive bombers on the way in, and the Murmansk is obviously vigorously trying to prevent the inevitable here. Shots are out though. Alaska has his shots out. Just need to wait for them to land. There we go. Take out the Murmansk, and we get ourselves a victory. Fantastic. So like I said, this was played quite a while back, but still a victory nonetheless. So taking a look at the overall results here, we do see that I finished third overall in the team, so that is not too bad at all. We've got Razio in first and Alaska in second. Did a bit of damage here, right? Basically mostly with the torpedo hits I got on the Cleveland, but still some good teamwork there up at A and just preventing the cap itself. So moving into the next clip, now this was played recently, this weekend. So you can see the team name, or rather we'll see at the end, the team name is Tenacious 10, not the Warhawks. Now essentially same exact team, right? This time we have Hosley, we've got Death Scythe, we've got Doors, Thrax, Razio, Tierbath, and myself. Now the reason why we're playing on Tenacious 10 and not the Warhawks was there was something crazy going on with the user interface for team battles. It was being really laggy and really cumbersome. It was actually quite frustrating. So we couldn't get like the invites going that we wanted on the Warhawks, so we just decided to switch over to Tenacious 10, and we were able to do it on this team, get the team composition that we wanted anyway. But in spirit, we are fighting it out with for the NGA Warhawks. Now, on New Dawn once again, but this time we've spawned on the other side, right to the northeast. So my job in this is obviously to go down here to B and Cap B. The rest of the team is getting themselves into A. Once they have A, then they're going to come down here at B and help support myself. Now my job at B again is not necessarily to take the cap, it's more or less to prevent, or rather to stall the enemy, maybe prevent them from capping it right away, do some scouting on the enemy as well. And at the end of the day, my job, is not to come down here, scout and die. It's to see what's going on, prevent, and then if I have to, just run away. It's that's basic strategy. And keep in mind, when you have, the option of running away at this early point of the battle here where you're scouting and sort of preventing the enemy cap right away, don't use your running away as sort of your last ditch option, right? Like there's no other options, you just gotta run away type thing. That might be too late. Try to anticipate the situation of when you're going to need to run away, and don't be afraid to run away, right? The team is going to be taking the other cap. My job down here isn't to take this cap, just to prevent and to stall this cap, right? And ideally, I'm going to be alive in order to do that. So we do see enemy destroyers coming in, right? So obviously the enemy team is, showing up at B in force. I popped my smoke. I did put a few rounds into that enemy destroyer, but right now I'm just going to try and get myself out of this situation. Maybe circle in and around these islands and wait for my team to arrive, because we've already taken A, which is fantastic. So that was, my main goal down here. Stall the cap. I managed to do it. We took the cap before the enemy team, which is fairly important when there's these two caps going on here. So I continue to put shots into the enemy destroyer. I mean, you'll notice that I am spotted, but I do have some islands coming up to absorb some shots. So that's why I started taking off, or started, firing my shots at the enemy farragut there, because I knew, right? We can see the shots coming in, the island absorbing them. I knew that this island was coming up, so I'm making good use of this cover here. And obviously, I pop out of sight because the enemies don't have line of sight on me anymore. Once I come out from around the island, though, I am going to continue the barrage on the enemy destroyer. If I can get this enemy destroyer gone before the bulk of my team shows up, that's going to really help out in help out, maybe even keeping some of my teammates hidden until the last moment, and the enemies might not be prepared for that, might catch them off guard, and that'll only work to our advantage. So more shots going out into the Farragut, and as well, while I'm hitting the Farragut, I am managing to reset the cap, because they haven't managed to cap this point yet. As you can see, the stalling action is really working out well, and more of my teammates are starting to show up and come into range of the enemy ships here to start taking off shots at them. So I can continue to put shots into the Farragut here. The Farragut is almost gone. I really wanted to get that guy gone before he pops out of sight, right? Just a few more hits and he will be gone. It's so close. So close. So those shots go in and miss. I am on fire once again, and I don't have my repair yet. It's still on cooldown, so we're going to need to wait for that, and the enemy Farragut has gotten away for now. So we're going to just let him go, wait for him to pop up again. There he is. Maybe we can get the player gone now. And as well, you'll notice that a lot of my team, especially my destroyers, are down here with me now as well, right? So it's not just me down here all alone anymore, so that is fantastic. So we managed to take out the Farragut. Excellent. He's gone. The enemy has, is down one destroyer. They only have got one left, and then the remainder of their ships are battleships and cruisers. Now, we did talk about team composition a little before in these team battles, mentioning, when we're playing here, usually on the Warhawks we have all destroyers, 2 battleships, and 1 aircraft carrier. This time we do have a Cleveland with us. Thrax there is in a Cleveland, but generally speaking, I really enjoy having as many destroyers as we can get on the team, and this is just simply because the destroyers are so much faster and more maneuverable that they're easily able to get in there, cap a point, and do it pretty effectively as well. So I'm really pleased with having destroyers in these team battles. They really come into their own, especially the American destroyers really come into their own and provide some excellent support to the team. So we do see a Russian cruiser there off in the distance. I don't know how effective the Russian cruisers would be in team battles, considering that you can, obviously get a destroyer instead, or have a Cleveland at tier 6. I mean, the Oba is pretty good as well. I don't know. I mean, the Oba is a good cruiser, but for team battles generally, I'm looking for an AA cruiser, and I think a Cleveland might be just a little more durable than the Russian cruiser equivalent, especially considering that you are going to have some battleships in these team battles, and the Russian cruisers are very susceptible to just getting citadeled and blowing up, right? So I'm not sure on that one. But anyway, that player seems to be doing alright for now. Obviously, that player has taken the most amount of damage because it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to do a lot of damage to these Russian cruisers. So while, my team is sort of repositioning, and while I'm repositioning as well, I am taking shots off the Russian cruiser. I'm hoping to just set him on fire, right? For the most part, I haven't been spotted, but now obviously I am, but still, no one's really engaging me, so I'm pretty comfortable doing this. And again, by moving to the south here, I'm just going to get myself in and behind this island once again, break line of sight. The island will absorb shots from me. So we do see the last enemy destroyer popped up, immediately switch over to the destroyer, right? This guy's got to go down, because again, we talked about it in the first team battle video, priority targets, right? First of all, it's the destroyers, then you're going to be looking at the cruisers, then you're going to be taking down the battleships. Battleships generally are going to be last for us, that, for the NGA Warhawks, that is generally what we do, and it works well for us as well. I mean, as long as you're able to effectively take down the cruisers and destroyers, the battleships aren't going to be that big of concern, and with the composition of mostly destroyers on the team, it makes it a whole lot harder for battleships to actually be able to hit an enemy or hit a destroyer, right? So we're continuing to put shots on the Cleveland, but we do see a New York crossing in front of me here as well, and I'm hoping to be able to get some torpedoes on him. I'm fairly close to this New York, and the New York is firing high explosive, so that was a massive hit that he got on me there, so that really sucked. Pop some smoke, and we're going to get ourselves out of this situation, right? I do launch off one spread of torpedoes just in case the enemy New York decides to go through that channel, and then up pops the Russian cruiser once again, very low health, so it's just going to take some quick shots into the Russian cruiser here, and this guy will be gone, and that'll be one less enemy cruiser that we will have to worry about. So fantastic. So there we go, Russian cruiser is gone, excellent. Good call on the torpedoes on my behalf anyway. I did manage to get 2 hits onto the New York, so that is not too bad at all. And again, I can't really believe that this team would bring a New York into the battle. Maybe they just didn't have a tier 6 battleship, but it just seems strange to me to bring in New York when you have, better options. The only thing I can see is that the player just doesn't have a tier 6 battleship, I guess. But anyway, the New York is on really low health. Now, my torpedoes are going to, rather, two of the torpedoes are going to miss the New York, but one of them does find the mark and take out the New York, so that's fantastic. Enemy battleship is now gone. So 4 enemy ships remaining. They've got 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, and they still have that last enemy Japanese destroyer, right? We can see a cruiser and battleship off in the distance who are on less than half health, so that should be easy enough to take down. I've got Razio in front of me, so I'm going to let Razio take the lead here from here on in because, obviously I don't have the hit points to be able to take another hit. So we're just going to stick close to Razio here. He's an excellent player, and at least, if I'm sticking close to him, that's, that much extra firepower that we're able to shoot down range. So Razio has launched torpedoes off at this other enemy New York. Again, don't understand why they brought the New York in here. At this point in the game, I just can't believe that people don't have a tier 6 battleship, but whatever. I guess. Razio's torpedoes hit their mark, take out the enemy New York, and he's gone. So 2 cruisers and 1 enemy destroyer remaining, and we haven't lost a ship as of yet. If we're going to lose a ship, it's most likely going to be myself, and it's simply because I'm on the lowest amount of hit points here. So wind blows and I'm going to explode at any moment. So 1 enemy cruiser that we can see here as well. He's on really low health, so maybe we can get into position here and start picking this guy off. But there we go. Enemy destroyer did just pop up and quickly was taken down. Yes, Dorge managed to take down the enemy destroyer, so excellent play there by Dorge, and it was quite surprising, especially considering Dorge was in a battleship. So essentially he just shotgunned that guy. It was great. Dorge couldn't believe that it happened, but anyway, it was pretty fantastic. So we do have 2 enemy cruisers remaining. One of them is on really low health, and the other one is basically on full health. So the one that we're kind of duking off with down here is the one on full health, and right up there we can see the enemy Cleveland was on really, really low health. It's not going to take much for us to take him down, and in fact, there we go. Dorge manages to take down that enemy cruiser, and that gives us enough points for the victory. Fantastic. So we managed to pull out another victory here. Wasn't too bad at all. We didn't even lose a single enemy or single ally ship, so that was pretty great. So overall results, I did finish top of the team. Dorge was 2nd and Razio was 3rd. I did a bit of damage in this battle. Mostly it was the torpedo hits again that I managed to pull off, and the fire damage. Right, the fire damage is always nice to get. So back to port, and the video is over for the day. So thank you guys as always for sticking around, watching it through. Leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber, and hopefully as well, by taking another look at team battles, we get a better sense as well of how these battles are going to go. And the benefit to them as well, just being able to rely on the other team members you have. So as always, folks, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.